I woke up in a bed that probably cost more than my apartment, with a woman sleeping next to me. Wait, that's not the important part. The important part is that the woman was my boss, the one everyone called the Ice Queen for her legendary coldness, Victoria Sterling. Even more critical, my mind was a total blank. I had no idea what happened last night. The only thing I remembered was crashing into her car. A very, very expensive car I couldn't afford to look at, let alone repair. "You're awake." A frosty voice cut through the silence, sending a shiver down my spine. I turned my head stiffly. Victoria was lying on her side, propped up on an elbow, watching me with a completely unreadable expression. She was wearing a silk robe, the collar slightly open, revealing a sliver of pale skin. My head buzzed, and fragmented memories from last night started to replay. Me, Jake Miller, just another corporate drone, driving my beat-up old Honda. Then, at a corner crunch, I'd kissed the front of a Bugatti Veyron. The person who stepped out of the car was none other than the CEO of my company, the Ice Queen herself, Victoria Sterling. I froze. My first instinct was to throw the car in reverse and floor it. But my trusty clunker had died on impact and refused to start. Victoria walked up to my car and tapped on the window. Shaking, I rolled it down, managing a smile that felt more like a grimace. "Ms. Sterling, fancy seeing you here." Her gaze swept over the wreckage of our two cars, then settled on me, her eyes as calm as a frozen lake. "Get out." I scrambled out of the car and stood before her, feeling like a criminal awaiting sentencing. "Do you have any idea how much this car costs?" she asked. I shook my head, then nodded, my tongue tied in a knot. "And no, but I'm sure it's a lot. The repair bill will be roughly equivalent to your salary for the next 30 years. Her tone was flat, but her words hit me like a sledgehammer. 30 years. The world went dark for a second. I nearly passed out right there on the pavement. What had I done to deserve this? "Ms. Sterling," I was on the verge of tears. "I can't pay for it. How about I work for you for the rest of my life?" Victoria stared at me for a few long seconds, a flicker of something I couldn't decipher in her eyes. "What's your name?" "Jake. Jake Miller." "Follow me." With that, she turned and walked toward a high-end private club next to us. I didn't dare refuse. I just trailed after her like a lost puppy. The rest of the night was a blur. I think I drank a lot of whiskey and then I woke up here. I looked at Victoria now, swallowing hard. "Ms. Sterling, last night, did we? What are you trying to say?" She raised an eyebrow. I didn't mean for anything to happen. I was drunk. I was rambling, desperate to explain that I hadn't had any inappropriate intentions. "You hit my car," she interrupted. Yes, I did. I'll pay for it, I swear. I'll sell everything I own," I declared instantly. "You can't afford it. Then, I'll make payments. I'll pay you until I'm 80. Victoria suddenly sat up, the duvet sliding down to reveal the elegant curve of her shoulders. "There's one way you can avoid paying." My eyes lit up. I felt like a drowning man who'd just been thrown a life raft. "What is it? Tell me, Ms. Sterling. I'll do anything. I swear, I'll walk through fire." She looked me straight in the eye and said, enunciating every word, "Pretend to be my boyfriend." I was completely floored. Was this some kind of plot twist from a bizarre movie? I wrecked the CEO's hypercar, and instead of a lifetime of debt, I get to be your boyfriend? Does this kind of thing actually happen? "You heard me," Victoria said, her tone leaving no room for argument. "Starting today, you are my boyfriend. To the outside world, we are a couple deeply in love." I felt like my brain was short-circuiting. This was more unbelievable than winning the lottery. This was like winning the Powerball and finding out the grand prize was a 5-star, all-you-can-eat buffet for life. But why? I couldn't stop myself from asking. Victoria picked up a folder from the nightstand and tossed it to me. "Read this." I opened it. It was a prenuptial agreement for a corporate merger. The groom, Chadwick Kensington, heir to the Kensington Corp fortune. The bride was Victoria Sterling, an arranged marriage for my family. "I'm not interested," she explained succinctly. "I need a boyfriend to make this engagement fall through." I got it. I was the human shield. But why me? I was still confused. There are dozens of guys at the company more handsome and more successful than me. Why pick a nobody like me? "Because you look safe." Victoria sized me up. Average. No ambition. Easy to control. And most importantly, you owe me a fortune. Her words left me speechless. Okay, I had to admit, she wasn't wrong. I was average, I didn't have much ambition, and I was... Wait, when was I ever easy to control? When did I say I'd do it? I mumbled under my breath. Victoria's gaze turned icy. You can refuse. In that case, have the $3 million for the repairs wired to my account by tomorrow. $3 million. I sucked in a sharp breath. They could sell me for parts and not get half that. I'll do it. I practically shouted. So what if I have to be a fake boyfriend? Sign me up. Good. Victoria nodded, satisfied. The contract is for 3 months. During that time, you'll be on call 24/7 to play your part. After 3 months, the engagement will be off, our agreement ends, and the car debt is cleared. Furthermore, I'll pay you a monthly salary of $100,000. $100,000 a month? My eyes nearly popped out of my head. This wasn't a human shield. This was a winning lottery ticket. No problem, Ms. Sterling, you can count on me. I guarantee an Oscar-worthy performance. I won't let you down. I promised, thump on my chest. Remember, we are deeply in love, Victoria stressed. You need to act completely infatuated with me. I looked at her glacial expression and felt a knot of anxiety in my stomach. Acting infatuated with that face? This was going to be the role of a lifetime. Also, she added, starting today, you'll move in with me. What? We have to live together. I yelped. Does it seem plausible for a couple in love not to live together? She countered. I had no response. She had a point. And just like that, Jake Miller, an ordinary guy from accounting, thanks to a free car accident, became the contract boyfriend of our Ice Queen CEO and began a surreal new life living with her. Moving into Victoria's penthouse felt like I'd stepped through the looking glass. The place was absurdly huge, a duplex with a private terrace and sweeping city views. My bedroom was on the 2nd floor and was bigger than my entire old apartment. Victoria's assistant, Chloe, helped me move in my few boxes, her eyes a mix of curiosity, speculation, and, was that pity? Mr. Millam is, Sterling can be difficult. Please be patient with her, Chloe whispered to me before she left. I let out a dry laugh. I had to be more than patient. I had to treat her like royalty. The first day of living together passed in a strange, awkward haze. Victoria laid out a list of house rules. I wasn't allowed in her office or her bedroom. I couldn't touch her personal things, no loud noises in the common areas, and I had to be home by 10 p.m. Listening to this list, which sounded more like the terms of a parole, I grumbled internally. This wasn't a relationship. This was a roommate situation from hell. That evening, I got out of the shower and ran right into Victoria, who was about to go in. She was in her robe, her hair damp and falling over her shoulders. Without her sharp business attire, she looked softer, more relaxed. My heart skipped a beat, and I quickly looked down. Ms. Sterling, call me Victoria when we're home, she said coolly. Oh, Victoria. The name felt foreign on my tongue. She just hummed in response and walked past me, leaving a trail of expensive-smelling shampoo in her wake. Back in my room, I tossed and turned on the ridiculously comfortable bed, unable to sleep. None of this felt real. I was living with the Ice Queen of Sterling Industries. The next morning, a sharp knock on my door woke me up. Jake, get up. We're going to be late for work. It was Victoria's voice. I shot out of bed like a cannonball and threw on my clothes. When I got downstairs, Victoria was already at the dining table, elegantly eating her breakfast. Yours is over there. She gestured to the spot across from her. I stared at the elaborate spread. Fresh fruit, eggs Benedict, artisanal toast. I felt a little overwhelmed. Thanks, Vic. Victoria, you'll drive my car to work from now on, she said, sipping her coffee. What? Your car. I almost choked on my orange juice. I just totaled one of her cars yesterday, and now she wanted me to drive another? My Bugatti is in the shop. There's a Porsche in the garage. You can take that one. I felt like my heart couldn't take much more of this. Driving to work in a Porsche? I'd probably get carjacked before I even made it to the office. Is that a good idea? I protested weakly. Why wouldn't it be? She asked, looking up at me. You're my boyfriend. What's wrong with you driving my car? Once again, I was speechless. Fine. She was right. So there I was, driving a flashy red Porsche 911 with Victoria Sterling in the passenger seat, heading to work. I got more stares on that commute than I have my entire life. When we pulled into the executive garage at the office, Victoria suddenly said, "Wait." I parked the car and looked at her, confused. She unbuckled her seatbelt and leaned towards me. My heart hammered against my ribs. I had no idea what she was about to do, and I instinctively shrank back. She stopped right in front of me and reached out, straightening my slightly crooked tie. Her fingers brushed against my neck, sending a jolt through my body. "Your tie was crooked," she murmured, her voice laced with a softness I'd never heard before. "Remember, from this moment on, we're a couple. We need to act like it at the office. A little more. Affection." I just nodded dumbly, my heart racing like a hummingbird's wings. She gave me a small, satisfied smile. It was like watching a glacier melt in the spring sun, and it completely stunned me. "Let's go, boyfriend." The news that Victoria Sterling and I were dating hit the office like a bomb. When I drove that Porsche into the garage and walked into the lobby with her, every single eye was on us. "Oh my God, isn't that Jake Miller from marketing? What is he doing with Miss Sterling?" They came in the same car. I saw them in the garage. "No way. Are they together?" The whispers followed me like a wave. My palms were sweating, but I had to force a calm, confident expression onto my face. Victoria, on the other hand, was completely unfazed. She walked straight to her private elevator without a second glance, and I hurried to join her. The moment the doors closed, I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. "Nervous?" she asked, looking at me. A little," I admitted. "You'll get used to it," she said flatly. "This is just the beginning." I felt a chill. I knew what she meant. Our real enemy was the Kensington heir, Chad. Sure enough, Chad showed up that afternoon. He swaggered into the office carrying a bouquet of roses the size of a small shrub, heading straight for the CEO's suite. The receptionist tried to stop him, but he just shoved her aside. "Victoria, darling, I came to see you." Chad's voice was so slick it made my skin crawl. I was in Victoria's office at the time, going over a report, which was really just part of the act, and I immediately stood up, placing myself between him and her desk. "Who the hell are you? You think you can stop me?" Chad sneered at me. "I'm her boyfriend," I said, puffing out my chest, trying to look imposing. Chad stared, then burst out laughing. "Boyfriend? Victoria, since when did you pick up such a low-rent boyfriend?" He looked me up and down with pure disdain. "Listen, kid, do you know who I am? My father is the chairman of Kensington Corp. What do you have that can compete with me?" His arrogance was infuriating. I was about to retort when Victoria tugged on my sleeve. She stood up, came to my side, and linked her arm through mine. She looked at Chad, her eyes like chips of ice. "Chad, I'm going to ask you to be respectful. Jake is my boyfriend, and he's the man I've chosen. As for you, there will never be anything between us. Please stop harassing me." Her voice was quiet but carried an undeniable weight. Chad's face turned a blotchy red. He clearly hadn't expected the ever-composed Victoria Sterling to go to bat for a nobody like me. "Fine, just fine," he seethed, pointing a finger at me. "You just wait, you little punk. We'll see how long she can protect you." He threw the roses onto the floor with a dramatic flourish and stormed out. The office was silent again. I looked at the scattered petals on the floor and felt a pit in my stomach. I knew this was only the beginning. "Don't be scared," Victoria said suddenly. Her arm was still linked with mine, the warmth of her palm seeping through my shirt. "I'm here." I turned to look at her, and she was already looking at me. In that moment, in those cold, beautiful eyes, I saw something I'd never seen before. Resolve and maybe just a hint of reliance. My heart, against all logic, skipped a beat. Chad's visit was like a stone thrown into the placid waters of our office, and the ripples just kept spreading. The rumors got even wilder. Some said I'd hit the jackpot, that I was a classic gold digger. Others said I was an idiot who didn't know his place, picking a fight with the Kensington heir, and that my days were numbered. I became the most talked about person in the company. Everywhere I went, people would point and whisper. I didn't really care. People could say what they wanted. All I had to do was play my part, collect my paycheck, and walk away in 3 months. But that night, Victoria got a call from her father. His voice was furious, booming through the phone, demanding to know why she was throwing away a strategic alliance for some nobody. He told her to break up with me immediately and go apologize to the Kensingtons. Victoria's response was just as firm. She told him it was her life, and she would never be part of a business transaction. They had a huge fight and hung up on each other. After the call, Victoria just sat on the couch, hugging her knees, looking smaller and more vulnerable than I'd ever seen her. I made her a cup of tea and handed it to her. Here. She took the mug, but didn't drink, just held it in her hands, staring at nothing. I'm sorry, she said after a long silence. I've dragged you into this. Hey, what are you talking about? We're a couple, right? For better or for worse. I joked, trying to lighten the mood. She looked up at me, her expression complicated. Jake, do you regret this? Regret what? Agreeing to be my fake boyfriend. Chad isn't going to let this go. He could come after you. I thought about it for a second, then shook my head. No regrets. I'm a nobody. I've got nothing to lose. Besides, where else am I going to find a gig that pays $100,000 a month? A tiny smile touched her lips. It was barely there, but it was like a ray of sunshine in the dimly lit room. You certainly know how to look on the bright side, she said. What's the alternative? Worrying all day won't solve anything. I shrugged. We talked for a long time that night. I told her about the stupid things I did as a kid, the wild parties in college, how lost I felt when I first started working. She just listened quietly, asking a question here and there. I realized that underneath the Ice Queen persona, she was just a normal person, stressed out by family pressure and uncertain about the future. The distance between us seemed to shrink that night. Chad's revenge came faster than I expected. The next day, I was at my desk trying to look busy when my manager called me in his office. Jake, you're fired, he said, avoiding my eyes. What? Why? I was stunned. It came from the top. He sighed. Kensington Corp put the squeeze on us. They specifically wanted you gone. My hands are tied. I understood. This was Chad's move. I packed my things in a cardboard box and walked out of the building. The sun was shining, but I felt a sudden chill. I sent a text to Victoria telling her I'd been fired. She called me right back, her voice urgent. Where are you? In front of the office. Stay there. I'm coming down. A few minutes later, her car pulled up. She got out, saw the box in my arms, and her face hardened. Get in. I got in the car, and she drove us back to the penthouse in silence. I'm so sorry, she said the moment we walked through the door. This is my fault. It's not your fault, I said, putting the box down. I just wasn't good enough to keep my job. I'll find you a better one. Don't worry about it. I shook my head. I think I'll take some time off. The truth was, I didn't want to cause her any more trouble. Victoria looked at me, her eyes filled with guilt. Jake, trust me. I won't let him get away with this. I looked at her determined expression, and a warmth spread through my chest. I trust you, I said. Life as an unemployed, stay-at-home boyfriend was actually pretty nice. I'd sleep in, cook for Victoria, clean the apartment. I became a full-blown homemaker. Every day, when Victoria came home from work to a hot meal, the hard lines on her face would soften. We fell into a comfortable rhythm. We'd curl up on the couch and watch movies, argue over silly things, and share the highs and lows of our days. And slowly, I started to realize that I really liked this life. One night, we were watching a romance movie. The couple on screen went through hell and back, but they ended up together. Near the end, I saw that Victoria's eyes were glistening. What's wrong? I asked. Nothing. She shook her head. I was just thinking. They're lucky. I looked at her, and before I could stop myself, I asked, what about us? She froze and turned to look at me. Our eyes met, and the air between us suddenly felt charged. I could hear my own heart pounding in my ears. I leaned in closer. Her eyes widened in a flash of panic, but she didn't pull away. Just as our lips were about to touch, the doorbell rang. Damn it. An elegant, imposing woman stood at the door. She looked at me, her brow furrowing in disapproval. Who are you? What are you doing in Victoria's home? Before I could answer, Victoria was there. Mom, what are you doing here? So this was Victoria's mother. Her mother's eyes darted between us, her expression growing colder by the second. Victoria, you will explain this to me. Right now. Mom, this is my boyfriend, Jake Miller, Victoria said, taking my hand in hers. Boyfriend? Her mother let out a sharp, unbelieving laugh. I wasn't aware you had a boyfriend. All I know is that you have a fiancé named Chadwick Kensington. That's over, Victoria said, her voice firm. The person I love is Jake. My heart jumped. I knew she was acting, but it still sent a jolt through me. You love him? Her mother looked at me, as if I were something she'd scraped off her shoe. Do you know anything about him? His family? His background? Is he worthy of you? Mom, love isn't measured by those things. You are completely delusional. Her mother was shaking with rage. I'm telling you, I will never approve of this. You will break up with him this instant and go apologize to the Kensingtons. I won't, Victoria said, not backing down an inch. The two of them started arguing right in front of me. I stood there, trapped in the middle, so awkward I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. Ma'am, please don't be angry. I tried to intervene. Victoria and I are truly in love. You be quiet. This doesn't concern you, she snapped. I was shut down completely. Finally, her mother stormed out, but not before delivering an ultimatum. I'm giving you 3 days. If you don't break up with him, you can consider yourself disowned. The apartment fell into a dead silence. Victoria's face was pale. She looked at me, her eyes full of apology. I'm sorry you had to see that. I shook my head. It's okay. Your mom. She's just looking out for you. She doesn't understand. Victoria's voice cracked. She only cares about the company. She's never cared about what I want. Seeing the tears welling in her eyes, I felt a sharp pang in my chest. I reached out and pulled her into a hug. Don't be sad. It's all going to be okay, I whispered, rubbing her back. She buried her face in my chest, her shoulders trembling. In that moment, I forgot all about our contract. All I wanted to do was protect this girl who was so strong on the outside, but so fragile underneath. Her mother's visit made everything more complicated. The pressure on Victoria was immense, juggling work and the constant ultimatums from her family. Chad, meanwhile, hadn't let up. He used his connections to make sure I couldn't find a job anywhere in the city. He even sent a few thugs to corner me on the street one day to teach me a lesson. Luckily, I'm quicker on my feet than I look, and I managed to get away without too much trouble. I kept all of this from Victoria. I didn't want to give her anything else to worry about, but she found out anyway. I got into a scuffle with the thugs one afternoon. I didn't lose the fight, but I came away with a bruised lip. When I got home that night, Victoria took one look at me, and her face went dark. What happened? I tripped, I lied. Tripped. She didn't buy it for a second. Jake, look me in the eye and tell me the truth. Her stare made me fold. I told her what had happened. She listened, her body trembling with rage. Chad, he's gone too far. She grabbed her phone, ready to call him. I quickly stopped her. Don't. You'll only make it worse if you call him now. Then what am I supposed to do? Just let him hurt you. Her eyes were red with fury and fear. I'm a big boy. I can handle myself, I said, trying to reassure her. Don't worry. I've got this. She looked at me, her expression a mix of heartbreak and guilt. This is all my fault. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't. Sure. I pressed a finger to her lips. Don't say that. We're a couple, remember? She looked at me, and a tear finally escaped and rolled down her cheek. I fumbled to wipe it away. Hey, don't cry. I can't stand seeing you cry. That only made her cry harder. She threw her arms around me and held on tight. Jake, thank you, she mumbled into my chest. Silly girl. For what? I held her close, my heart aching for her. She fell asleep like that, curled up against me on the couch. As I watched her sleep, her face peaceful for the first time in days, I made a decision. I couldn't just sit back and take it anymore. It was time to fight back. I started digging into Chad and Kensington Corp. I might have been just a marketing drone, but back in college, I was a computer science major, and I was very, very good at what I did. It took me 2 days to bypass their corporate security. Once I was in their internal network, I found everything. Evidence of tax evasion, illegal trading, corporate bribery. The works. I compiled all of it into a neat little file and sent it anonymously to the IRS and the SEC. When it was done, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. I didn't tell Victoria what I'd done. I just wanted to clear the obstacles from her path without her ever knowing. A few days later, the news broke. Kensington Corp was on every headline. Their offices were raided. Chad and his father were taken into custody, facing a laundry list of federal charges. The scandal sent shockwaves through the business world. When Victoria saw the news, she was completely stunned. Ow, how did this happen? She whispered. I pretended to be just as shocked. Wow, I guess karma's real after all. Victoria glanced at me. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Jake, she asked suddenly, did you have anything to do with this? My heart hammered. but I kept my face a perfect mask of innocence. Me? What could I possibly do? She studied me for a few more seconds, then let it drop. The fall of the Kensington Empire meant the arranged marriage was dead in the water. Victoria's parents were shocked, but there was nothing they could do. Our biggest threat was gone. That night, Victoria opened a bottle of expensive red wine to celebrate. "Jake, thank you," she said, raising her glass, "for everything you went through." "My pleasure. It was an honor to be of service to such a beautiful woman," I said, clinking my glass against hers. We drank a lot. We talked for hours. And under the influence of the wine, the atmosphere grew thick with unspoken feelings. "Jake," she said, her eyes hazy as she looked at me. "Our agreement. Does it still count?" I looked at her flushed cheeks, my heart pounding. "Do you want it to?" She didn't answer with words. She just leaned forward, closing the distance between us, and kissed me. Her lips were soft, and they tasted of wine and something that was just her. A bomb went off in my head, obliterating every last shred of reason. I kissed her back, my hands finding their way into her hair, pulling her closer. It was clumsy at first, then hungry and desperate. The line we had so carefully drawn between us was finally, irrevocably erased. That night, we lost ourselves in each other. The next morning, when I woke up, she was gone. A knot of anxiety twisted in my stomach. What was she thinking? Was last night a drunken mistake, or was it real? I went downstairs and found her sitting at the dining table, her back to me. I walked up behind her and gently wrapped my arms around her. "Morning." Her body tensed for a second, then relaxed. "Morning." "Last night." I began, but she cut me off. "Nothing happened last night," she said, her voice chillingly cold. My heart sank. She turned to face me, her expression once again the icy mask I knew so well. "Jake, our agreement is over. The car is paid for. Here is your salary, plus a bonus for your trouble." She held out a credit card. I didn't take it. "Why?" I stared at her, my voice cracking. "Was last night just a transaction to you? What else would it be?" she shot back. "You didn't actually think I could fall in love with you, did you?" Every word was a knife in my chest. "Jake, we're not from the same world. Wake up. The dream is over." She stood up, ready to leave. I grabbed her hand, my eyes burning. "Victoria, look me in the eye and tell me you feel nothing for me." She pulled her hand away, refusing to meet my gaze. "Nothing." And with that, she walked away without a backward glance. I stood alone in the vast, empty penthouse, feeling my entire world crumble around me. It was all a one-man show. I thought we were getting closer. I thought she felt it too. But in the end, it was all just in my head. I laughed a bitter, broken sound. Then the tears came. I picked up the credit card from the table and walked out of the penthouse. That place was never my home. After I left Victoria, I went back to my tiny, cramped apartment. I tossed the credit card in a drawer and never touched it. I found a new job as a programmer at a small tech firm. I worked until midnight every night, trying to bury myself in code. I thought if I just stayed busy enough, I wouldn't have time to think about her. I was wrong. Her face would appear in my mind at the most random moments. Her cold glare, her rare smile, the way she cried in my arms, the look in her eyes when she kissed me. I couldn't forget her. It was impossible. A month later, a package arrived. It was from Chloe, Victoria's assistant. Inside was a legal document and a car key. The document was a stock transfer agreement. Victoria had signed over one of her subsidiary companies to me, a company worth millions. The key was to the Porsche. I called Chloe. "What is this?" She sighed on the other end of the line. "Mr. Miller, it's from Victoria. She said she owed it to you." "I don't want it," I said immediately. "You should take it, Mr. Miller," Chloe said, her voice soft. She's getting engaged." "Engaged?" The world tilted on its axis. "Yes, to one of her VPs. It's another family alliance." I hung up the phone, feeling like all the air had been punched out of my lungs. So she'd given in after all. We really were from different worlds. I took the documents and the key and drove to Sterling Industries. I had to ask her to her face. What was I to her? A joke? A project? I stormed up to the executive floor, but her security guards blocked my way. "I need to see Victoria Sterling." I yelled. "Ms. Sterling isn't seeing anyone." I started shoving against them, making a scene. The office door opened, and Victoria stepped out. She saw me and froze, her brow furrowing. What are you doing here? I came to ask you what this is. I threw the papers and the key on the floor at her feet. Is this charity? Are you trying to pay me off? Jake, calm down. How can I be calm? I stared at her, my eyes red. Victoria, just tell me the truth. Did you ever love me? Even a little. She looked at me. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no words came out. Just then, another man walked out of her office and put his arm around her shoulders. Victoria, honey, is everything okay? It was the VP, her fiancé. It's nothing, she said, shrugging off his arm. She looked at me, her voice devoid of all emotion. Jake, we're over. Please don't bother me again. She turned, walked back in her office, and shut the door. I stared at that closed door, and my heart shattered into a million pieces. I just stood there like an idiot for a long, long time. Finally, I bent down, picked up the key, and walked away. I drove that Porsche all night, aimlessly wandering the city streets. I had no idea where to go, no idea what to do. My life was back to square one. No, it was worse, because this time, I left my heart behind. I spent a week in a daze. Then, one evening, I got a call from Chloe. Mr. Miller, you have to get to the hospital. Ms. Sterling was in a car accident. My mind went completely blank. I drove to the hospital like a madman. Outside the operating room, I saw Victoria's parents. Her mother saw me and slapped me hard across the face. It's your fault. This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, she'd be fine. I didn't move. I just took it. What happened? I asked, my voice a raw whisper. Her father sighed, his face etched with grief, and told me everything. Victoria was never getting engaged. The VP was just an act, a cruel one, designed to make me give up and move on for good. The day I left her office, she'd gotten in her car to follow me. On the way, she'd swerved to avoid a child who ran into the street and lost control of the car. My heart felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. She had been lying to me all along. She didn't push me away because she didn't love me. She pushed me away because she did. She was afraid I would get hurt again because of her. She wanted me to have a normal, safe life. That beautiful fool. The light above the operating room door went out. A doctor came out. The patient is out of immediate danger. My legs gave out, and I collapsed on the floor. When Victoria woke up, the first person she saw was me. She stared, her eyes immediately filling with tears. What are you doing here? If I hadn't come, were you planning on lying to me for the rest of my life? I asked, my voice choked with emotion as I took her hand. She didn't speak, just let the tears fall. Victoria Sterling, you listen to me, I said, looking her straight in the eye. I don't care if we're from different worlds. I don't care how hard it's going to be. The only thing I know is that I love you. And in this life, it's you or no one. She looked at me and finally broke down, sobbing. Jake, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. No more apologies, I said, kissing the tears from her cheeks. From now on, it's my turn to protect you. 1 year later, at our wedding, the officiant was giving a heartfelt speech, but I wasn't really listening. I leaned over and whispered in Victoria's ear, Hey, honey, why did you really pick me to be your human shield back then? There were so many better-looking guys at the company. Victoria shot me a playful glare and whispered back, Because you look like the biggest idiot, the easiest one to fool. I feigned a look of shock, but she paused, a beautiful smile spreading across her face. I never thought I'd be the one who ended up getting fooled. She looked at me, her eyes shining with so much love it took my breath away. I love you, Jake Miller. I love you too, Mrs. Miller. I leaned down and kissed my bride. The crowd erupted in applause. In a quiet corner, Chloe watched the scene, a huge grin on her face. She pulled out her phone and typed a message into a group chat named the Ice Queen Thaw Project. Mission accomplished, people. The Queen has officially melted. I knew Jake was the one. Chloe, you're getting a massive bonus for this. So what's our next project? Getting HR Linda together with Mark from security. Chloe chuckled, looking at her phone. Another day, another happily ever after.